Back at it, and we're talking Coffee Court this morning. We've got 1 minute past 8 o'clock, second hour of the show. This is Smart Means Business, where we start off your morning here on Smart 24 TV with updates regarding business from the local space up to the international scene, where you get to understand the scope of how business is moving and how you can cope up with the ever-changing business world. The trends, the various opportunities, all this and more is what we bring to you here every single morning. A show dedicated to kickstarting your day fruitfully with information. Business, which is very, very relevant and vital, crucial for your business as well. Okay, now speaking of our Coffee Court, as I did mention, the discussions of this Coffee Court today entirely look at the misuse of computers, the internet, various communication gadgets. These particular ones have cost quite a number of business people lots of money. Reason being, as we are moving into a changing world, an ever-growing world, people are using the space of the internet to at least market or set out their business ideas and all that. But from the space, there are hackers, and hackers are actually tapping into people's markets or tapping into people's businesses, and in one way people are losing money, and billions of shillings have been lost annually from the same space of the internet. Well, besides that, the government also came up with the Computer Misuse Act, which is now law after President asserted to it last week. So these are some of the key things that you can pick up and say, hopefully, with this particular law, maybe we shall be able to curb these particular crimes or cyber crimes, because sometimes you get to realize these are way above the ordinary person. Sometimes it also goes with people who actually work with telecommunication companies, and then the others also goes with people who are selling this particular gadget. So it's a lot of situations that comes in when we talk about cyber threats and crimes in the country. Let's have more of these conversations in the Coffee Court.
Well, the Coffee Court continues, and this is where we ask the critical but fundamentally questions that matter. I know many of you have heard of issues. My money has been stolen, my ATM has been stolen, somebody hacked into my computer and was able to send a few things. That more rotates on matters of cybercrime. My name is Fred Makubia. This is the Coffee Court, where we basically ask critical questions, and most importantly, questions that matter. Mr. Emmanuel Jagara is an expert. Nerima will be helping us digest matters of cybercrime and how best can we be able to handle this. It's a pleasure, Emma. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, and greetings to the viewers.
Cybercrime, what does this mean?
Cybercrime is basically crime over the internet. That is the simplest way I can describe it. So whenever we think about any form of crime that is committed using technology and using the internet, then we can conclude that that is cybercrime.
So it's theft that happens on the internet. How does this happen?
So it's not only theft, but it is way beyond theft. Stealing of your money, defaming you online, going online and bullying someone, launching offensives against another corporation. These are all forms of cybercrime. For example, if a certain TV wants to attack the image of Smart TV, and so we launch certain fraudulent communications online, then that would still fall under cybercrime. So all of that, any form of crime, be it financial loss based or just defamation or anything in that nature, credibility questions, that all falls in the category of cybercrime.
Just to bring to your attention, dear viewers, of course, as we discuss cybercrime, there is already a new law, amended law, which the president, which we are just waiting for the president to assent to, and that is a law maybe that will help to govern some of these things.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the forms of cybercrimes in Uganda, particularly in Uganda.
Yeah. Well, so in Uganda, the biggest form of cybercrime that we're seeing, of course, is financial attacks, financial losses. But then we also have other forms of cybercrime, such as economic espionage. Economic espionage is where a certain company is trying to defame another company or trying to steal trade secrets from another company. That is what we call espionage. We have other crimes such as social media bullying. That is also cybercrime. We have things like defamation. I think that one I've already mentioned. If I hack your phone and I take confidential content such as photos, things that maybe you have done at your private time, and I make it public, then that is cybercrime. Any form of blackmail over the internet also falls under cybercrime. Issues to do with nation-state attacks. Nation-state attacks is where nation A has a problem with nation B, so we launch offensives online.
So it can go that far?
It can go that far. Okay. In fact, there is belief that the Third World War will be conducted over the space. So you're going to see a certain nation waging massive attacks on another nation, enough to cripple operations of the entire country. This actually happened as way back in 2007 when Russia waged war against Estonia, crippling the entire country for a space of 2 weeks. The country could not do anything. That is what we call nation-state attacks. So there are several other forms of attacks that we are witnessing. Any form of crime or offensives that are conducted over the internet, over technology, falls under cybercrime.
Let's be more specific on specific issues.
Yeah.
Just a few weeks ago, I received a message that somebody had withdrawn some money from my account. I have the password. I've not shared my password with any. How does this basically happen, since you are an expert in this area?
Well, so there are several ways in which this could happen. Let me pick option number one, which is the most prevalent that we're seeing right now. Insider threats. And this is something that we have been pushing service providers to address seriously. You find that service providers, especially internet service providers, have staff internally who are conniving within themselves and external fraudsters to actually target certain customers. So if I know that you're a high value customer, you're seated with 10 million in 7 million in mobile money, 10 million in mobile money, we can actually connive to have it move out of your account. That is number one. Number two is that most of us are also very reckless with the way we hold our information. We trust so easily, and this is a big weakness basically with the entire humankind. We easily trust. So if you gave your password to your wife or to your son, to your daughter, and then that person maybe carelessly handled it, or yourself you carelessly handled it while doing a certain transaction, someone else sees the PIN and they're able to go ahead and defraud you.
That would be okay, because this is my wife, this is my child.
That is not okay. It is not okay. Your PIN is your personal PIN. And this is where most people are falling victims. Let me give you one example. There was an old woman who actually used to send her son to always go and withdraw for her money from ATM. But then at some point, the money was drained out of the account. So she goes, while very infuriated, asks the son what happened. The son says, I have no idea. They go to the bank. When they are fuming on the bank, they check all the details. They find that the withdrawals were done within a certain time frame. When they went ahead to check CCTV footage, turns out it was actually the grandson who was withdrawing the money. So many of us have fallen victims to these attacks, and we think it is such a far-fetched problem. Yet it is an internal problem you're dealing with. They always say the enemy is not far. You see that?
The enemy must be near.
The enemy is always near.
Now, an email, I hold the password.
Yeah.
I have not shared it with the enemy.
Yeah.
How do people hack into my system and be able to access these personal passwords?
Again, now let me introduce a new concept called social engineering. Social engineering is the concept where I can hack your system by simply getting you to give me certain confidential information unknowingly. All right? How does this happen? I send you a link say a certain random link. You might be say they are looking for a visa to go to the US, or you want a green card, and you're praying one day you get that green card, and there's a link there to apply for a free green card. So you go ahead and submit your details. You have submitted your email, you probably also submitted your password. Many people do that unknowingly with a lot of trust. That you have fallen a victim to what we call social engineering attack. Now, under that social engineering concept, there are very many ways in which I could get you to divulge confidential information. This information then is what I would use to launch an attack on you. By the way, many people, and by many people I'm talking about over 98% of internet users globally, reuse passwords. Reusing passwords means the password that you have on your phone, on your online bank is the same on your email, is the same on your office email, is the same on your Facebook, the same on your Twitter. I know as I'm saying this, you might be thinking, yes, you have it.
That's true, but I find it okay because it is mine.
No.
Having as many of those would actually confuse me.
So that is also one of the challenges that many people face, and it is not okay. Why? Because if I have successfully hacked your Yahoo email, what are the chances that I could use the same tools now to hack your Gmail? Very high. So then it's not okay because you have now created for yourself multiple vulnerabilities. If you're saying it's okay, let me ask you, do you have the same key that opens all the doors in your house?
Not at all.
Exactly. So the same way that you cannot have one key that opens right from the gate to every corner, that's the same way you cannot have a single password across all your accounts.
But you simply suggest that this is a global matter, it's a global issue.
It is a global matter. Cybercrime has risen over 600% over the last 2 years globally. Many institutions across the world, governments, are suffering the same way. This is not something unique to only Uganda, and it's something that I would want us to know. However, the efforts to build the right controls is now what comes back to us. But true, it is not unique to Uganda, it's a global issue.
Maybe before we get to the control, where does this leave economies like an economy of Uganda if all these continue to persist?
Well, cybercrime, according to the World Economic Forum, is now ranked among the top 3 biggest threats that economies have to be concerned about. For any economy that is embracing digitization, such as Uganda, definitely we must be concerned. Right now we are having over 55% internet penetration rate and over 65% mobile phone penetration rate. The likes of Kenya have gone over 85% already. The more we are relying on technology, the more we are at risk with the growing level of cyber threats. So definitely economies such as ours must now be more concerned, and we must start asking the right questions. How do we build the right security controls? Yeah.
But you say with the continued transformation in technology, but you also know we can't do our technology.
We cannot. We can't go back.
We cannot revert back to where we have been.
Yeah.
Now that is how far it affects the economy. The most fundamental question is how we deal with such an issue for a country like Uganda, which is a growing country.
Yes. So a country like Uganda, first of all, I want to let you know that Uganda is among the best performing in terms of building right cybersecurity strategies. Yes. In 2014, the African Union, under the Malabo Agreement, agreed to have every member state, the 54 members, embrace strong cybersecurity programs such as introduction of security regulations, introduction of massive awareness and education programs, and also down there to enhancing technologies. So from 2014 till now, 29 countries have embraced and they have put in place regulations. Uganda is one of the 29. In 2019, the National Cybersecurity Index ranked Uganda as the top performer of all African countries in terms of embracing and implementing the right regulations. We have the Computer Misuse Act, which is already in place, Electronics Transaction Act, Electronic Signatures Act, the Data Privacy and Protection Act of 2019. All of these laws have already been in place. So first of all, I think that is something that we are doing quite well. But then remember that laws that are in place without implementation are still in vain. And that is one of the biggest challenges that we are seeing within the country. So whereas there have been efforts in line with regulations, there are still significant gaps when it comes to things like prosecution. Even the capabilities of the justice officers in terms of litigation is still a big gap. The judges, are they actually able to adjudicate matters of cybercrime?
So these are critical questions.
These are critical questions. Do we have lawyers that can actually stand on the floors of court and actually discuss and litigate issues around cybercrime? Those are the gaps.
This seems to be a legal matter. I look at it from the economic perspective.
Yes. I don't think it's only a legal matter. There is quite a broad element to it. But so what I'm trying to drive to is that there are several other gaps that I think, as you have asked, if the government can now focus more on ensuring that these are in place. If the laws are in place, can we then start having punitive action on people who are the cybercrime related cases? How many of these backlogs do we have in the CID office, you see, in line with cybercrime? Is the cybercrime unit of police capable of investigating these cases?
What do you think?
Those are the questions. I can't answer that. But what I know for a fact is that there are several backlog cases that have never gone to the state of prosecution.
8th September,
Yeah.
Parliament issued this bill called
Yeah.
the Computer Misuse Act.
Yes.
Now the president, we are just waiting for the president to accept it.
Yeah.
You think this kind of bill, once it becomes law, can be able to do something in terms of managing such issues in this country?
Well, so that is an amendment bill. It was not a fresh bill. There was already an act, the Computer Misuse Act, which was there since 2011. However, this was just an amendment. There are a few gaps when it comes to that amendment. I personally do not agree with all of the elements of that amendment, but that is something that we hope that can be addressed at the Parliament level. Of course, with maturity of these laws, then we can see improvements in terms of our cybersecurity capabilities as a country. You see that?
So in case these issues, I know you've seen videos on WhatsApp,
Yeah.
and I have personally seen them, where somebody hikes into my mobile money and takes the money. In case this happens, what would be your advice? What are some of the procedures I should follow maybe to do a follow-up on such matters?
Yeah, so if your phone was hacked and your mobile money has gone and you're sure,
That's just an example. but
yes,
so-
yeah. So you're sure that your mobile money has gone. The first thing that you should do is to report it to police. There is a cybercrime unit and the CID office and several other, all of the police stations now know how to register those cases. After you reported it to police, then you go with that same case file and go to lodge a complaint at the service provider.
But that's not
Okay.
the process. Somebody is taking my money Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. By
no.
the time I get from police and I go to the camp and wait.
Oh, I didn't know. They are still taking it. Of course, the first thing would be to go and deactivate your SIM card. I think that is what I would recommend. Then afterwards, you have to register the case. Why I encourage registering the case is that it makes it easier for your matter to be investigated. You see that? So you have blocked your SIM card, you have registered your case. Then the next question is asking the service provider, why is my money moving? So this is now where sometimes it could have been your mistake. And to the largest point, by the way, most times it's actually our mistakes. However, on the other side, it could also be an insider threat, which we have seen growing cases, as I mentioned earlier, of service providers who are conniving against the customers. It's quite unfortunate. So now this is not something in your hands. Once the investigations are done, then we can know how to address it. But of course, the first thing is go and deactivate your SIM card, register the matter with police, then lodge a complaint with the service provider. Yeah.
Cybercrime still remains a very critical matter of discussion.
Yeah.
Finally, how do we get out of this kind of situation in this country?
Yeah. So cybercrime is a growing threat to many institutions, to many individuals. However, it comes down to basic controls. And once all of us are able to, first of all, understand, and that's why I'm happy that we can have such a conversation, if we can have more people aware of their threats, then we can have ourselves building the necessary controls. Number one, do we have the strong pins? Do we have passwords Do you have multi-factor authentication? Do you share your passwords and pins easily with your friends? Do you click on those random links that come to your email? These are all small problems that we do that turn out to be very big impact on us at the end of the day. Study has shown that if we are able to address these basic, we call them hygiene, cybersecurity hygiene, if we're able to implement this basic cybersecurity hygiene, we actually reduce our threats by over 90%, you can imagine. Once we have done that, then the bigger picture of hackers who penetrate through firewalls, those are things that we can address at a more technical level. But you, at your personal level, make sure that you are first protecting yourself. We should not leave this responsibility with other people, with service providers, with your IT officer, with the police. Let's do our part to make sure that we are protected ourselves. When you're sure that you have done your part, then we can ask what other people are doing for us.
Thank you, Mr. Chagala. Emmanuel, my take home is that it is a collective responsibility.
Absolutely.
If we are going to manage this critical matter of the cybercrime. But of course, where we are as a country, you cannot avoid matters of technology. In fact, it's one of the key driving factors that Uganda looks up to when it comes to matters of Vision 2040. This is Fred Makuya, and this is the Coffee Court, where we drive your business.
All right, and that particular Coffee Court discussion was entirely looking at the cyberspace and cyber threats, cyber crime, cyber security, how the new law of the computer misuse law will definitely help curb these particular threats and these particular losses that have always been happening online. And of course, this is another big point of discussion in the country. And as a matter of fact, after the break in our topic of discussion, we shall be strongly looking at the computer misuse law and how best it is going to be helpful to curb these particular cases or crimes that are committed on the internet. And on the other hand, we shall be looking at the provisions as well to see how are they quite fair, or are they siding with the government in any way. So we want to look at how these particular provisions in the law will be implemented and how they will be safeguarding the financial space of people who are using the internet and using the cyberspace to drive their business. This is Smart Means Business. We do return with more in our topic of discussion.